Hello there, Matthew J. Elliott here, taking time out from doing British things like correcting people's grammar and, well, that's it really, to congratulate you, the listener, for selecting the True Blue RiffCast. Yes, you could have picked any one of the thousands of RiffTrax themed podcasts on the web, but your perspicacity led you to seek out the number one RiffTrax podcast, and for that, you should be commended. Now, I'm going to turn you over to your hosts, Dave and Jeremy, and I shall board a flight back to England without even so much as the boxed lunch I'd been promised.
Thanks, Matthew J. Elliott. This is the True Blue RiffCast, the number one RiffTrax podcast in the world. I am Jeremy, and with me, as always,
is Baby Ghost. Baby Ghost. No, I'm just kidding. It's me, Dave.
We'll start that again.
What's that?
I said, don't start that
what,
again.
Baby Ghost? Baby Ghost.
Yeah.
The Baby Ghost song. It has nothing to do with RiffTrax other than... I'll tell you what. I will stop singing Baby Ghost, the Baby Ghost song here on the podcast, as soon as they do it on the RiffTrax show of shows. Do you hear me, Connor Listoka?
You might be waiting a while.
Do you hear me, Connor Listoka and Sean Thomason? I'm reading freaking Ready Player 2. The least you can do is Baby Ghost, Connor.
Oh, yeah, Ready Player 2 is...
It's so bad.
It's a thing. It's a book.
It's so bad, yeah. Okay, so...
Armada and Ready Player 1.
For those of you that don't know, Mike and Connor, we're talking about another podcast on our podcast, but they do a podcast called 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. When they first started the podcast, it was Ready Player 1. That was like 3 years ago. And I listened to like the first episode. I originally tried to read Ready Player 1 back in like 2014, got like 80 pages into it. I was like, this is horrible. And I noped out. And when I heard they were starting a podcast over that, I listened to the first episode 0, but then like I realized I'd actually have to read the book. I was like, I'm not doing this. And so I just didn't ever get into the podcast. But I have now, and I'm actually reading Ready Player 2. It is so bad. I can't. It's, dude, I don't understand why anybody would do this. I listened to the audiobook, okay? And I put it like, I put it on like double speed so that I could just race through it. I'm not going to listen to this for 15 hours. I listened to it for 7. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not. But anyway, everybody should listen to it. Man. In addition to this podcast, listen to the other podcast, 370 Pages We'll Never Get Back.
Yes. Definitely. Well, we have a lot to talk about today on this, our final regular episode of the season.
Is it really?
For 2020. Yeah. This is it. Then we got our big best of 2020 show just after the new year starts. The main reason we have to wait for that is just because they might drop something.
Yeah, they might drop Attack of the Super Monster 2 on us.
Yeah,
like they did last.
Yeah, we never after what they did last year.
Like 2 days to go, and they just totally blew up like the Riff of the Year field.
Yeah,
which I think I'd have to go back for like all you True Blue RiffCast, all you people who listen through, memorize, and know all the episodes by heart. I'm not one of those people about our own podcast, but I would say it was in both of our top 3s, right?
Yes. Yeah. For me, it was second only to The Visitor.
Mine number 1 was The Visitor. So that was between the both of us unanimously. It was The Visitor was Riff of the Year. So do you have any after this past release, which we'll talk about here momentarily if I ever shut up? Is your Riff of the Year field changed at all? I mean, does the most recent releases kind of like shake things up a little bit?
No. No, it hasn't.
It did for me. And I'll tell you why after we talk about it.
But we do have, like I said, a lot to talk about. We've got the season finale of The Mandalorian, which we're actually going to talk about last.
Yes,
today.
it's going to. Yes, we're switching it up. We're going to talk about what we're actually going to talk about first. Welcome back from the edit. We are going to talk about what we should be talking about on the podcast first. You don't have to wait an hour to get to that. And then we'll talk about this indulgence we have, the True Blue MandoCast.
So we've got that. We've got the riff of Mortal Kombat to talk about. But first, we have to talk about this very, very long-awaited, long-teased release that we finally got that's a little bit different. It's A Wonderful Life.
Now, I would like to take us back to the previous podcast where I said, hey, guys, we need to do RiffTrax, because me, Dave, just telling RiffTrax what they need to do, because I'm a jerk and I do that. I said, RiffTrax, you just need to shut up and do It's a Wonderful Life. There's no reason not to do that. Blah, blah, blah. Right? And the day, after we release that podcast, they get on their little Patreon Zoom meeting that they have there. And then that's it. They're going to do It's a Wonderful Life. Now, clearly, yeah, it has been a long time coming. And I'm not trying to take credit for it, because that would just be... I only play at being an a-hole. I'm not really an a-hole. It's a long con, but
yeah,
this
playing the long game, folks.
Yeah, that's right. Just kind of like RiffTrax played the long game with It's a Wonderful Life. Now, I had always thought that just do the MP3. Who gives a shit? But no, they spoiled us, Jeremy. They spoiled us with the VOD. Yeah. That's amazing.
Now, this had been teased as a Kickstarter reward since they started doing Kickstarters, I think.
Oh yeah.
It's every year they've been like, if we get to this much, we're gonna do It's a Wonderful Life. And they just finally decided, you know what, we just need to actually do it. It's been long enough. We need to actually do it. And first things first, I need to say this. I've never seen this movie
before. What? Not even when you were a kid trying to fall asleep?
No. I had never seen It's a Wonderful Life. Now, I know that may be a shocker to some people, but like Dave. But yeah, it's not out of a lack of wanting to see it. I just literally never got around to watching it.
Well, hey, look, man, don't feel bad. There's lots of movies I haven't seen. Lots and lots. Like if I told you the list of movies I haven't seen, I don't think you would believe half of them. I'll tell you what, I haven't seen Alien. I haven't seen any Terminator movie. So...
Wait, what? None of them?
No, none of them. I haven't seen any Terminator movie. Ever.
Huh.
I haven't seen throw out a popular scary movie from the 80s or before, and
Critters.
What's that? Critters? I don't think so.
Critters. Oh.
Or some kind of pop cultural, some kind of big pop culture thing.
The Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Haven't seen it.
Same here.
Okay.
But so when they announced the movie, at first I wasn't sure, if they were doing a VOD or an MP3, because they were talking about not doing certain parts of the movie.
Yeah, I assumed it was going to be MP3.
We were just going to get it. Yeah, and they were talking about how Paramount had copyrighted part of the movie. They bought the rights to the original story. So there was a 40-minute chunk that they had to remove from the movie. Now, don't worry, the movie is still an hour and 47 minutes long.
Yeah, it's way longer.
So it's still a super long movie.
They said it was a shorter version. I thought it was going to be a shorter version, like these South African movies that they license, like short, like an hour and 10 minutes. I thought it was going to be like that. But no, it's still like an hour and 45 minutes, which is really long for a VOD.
And they actually had to change the title of the release.
Really?
Because of
I didn't
this.
know this.
Okay, it was originally just released as It's a Wonderful Life. Now it's a Wonderful Life special RiffTrax edit. And the reason they did that is because in the description, they put in here the whole thing about the copyrighted stuff that they had to cut out. Let's see, this RiffTrax special edit features most of the original movie, but not all of the original movie. It's a Wonderful Life was in the public domain for decades, then back out again. It's a complicated history. The main copyrighted stuff comes down to 1, material from the short story The Greatest Gift, that part of the film was based on, and 2, some of the musical rights for background songs.
Okay.
So they cut out those parts, and it just says, which still leaves quite a bit, as it turns out, 1 hour and 46 minutes worth. You may not notice any difference unless you're a big fan of depressing Pottersville. And it turns out there's more than one way for Clarence the Angel and his weird old lady underwear to help George Bailey have a wonderful life. So people weren't reading that description, and they were complaining that the movie was edited and parts were missing from it.
What? Where?
All over on Twitter, on Facebook. That one guy that always complains when they edit stuff was complaining again, obviously.
I'm going to tell you why I didn't know this. Like why I didn't know that people were complaining about it. Is that I have removed myself from all of that. Like, long story short, I don't want to get into it. Since becoming somebody who produced content that was associated with the fandom, and after all that nonsense with Jimmy Noodles, Google it, I kind of forgot what it was like just to be a fan. And I kind of want, like, the last couple of years, I've just kind of wanted to get back to that. So I kind of have removed myself from the fandom element. This is really like the most I do as a member of this fandom that we're a part of anymore. So seeing people complain about that, or even hearing about it, it's like, yep, I made the right decision.
Yeah, I mean, none of us are surprised that this is happening because, people don't read stuff. They just see something and then they jump in and then they're like, oh, well, this isn't what I thought it was. The same thing happens on the Amazon Prime stuff for RiffTrax releases. People see the movie and they ignore that it says RiffTrax, and they start watching it and they're like, why are these people talking over the movie?
Oh my God, dude. I told this story to Eric, and this is very relevant, so don't edit this out. It was the Kroll live show in 2018. And I think that was like the last, or it was the first live show where I wasn't I hadn't contributed something to the digital goodies. So it was just kind of like, well, I'm just a member of the audience again. Right. So fine, whatever. And I remember going in and sitting down, and the theater was just packed. It's like, oh my God, I have never seen this theater sold out for RiffTrax Live. This is insane. This is insanity. Like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, it was good, but some people thought, or a lot of people thought, that it was a screening for Kroll straight. Yep. No riff. It was like vanilla Kroll. Okay. And that's what sold the theater out. And I remember sitting the people behind me got in the back. I just remember hearing one saying, be like, are they going to talk through the whole thing? And I was just like, oh no. I was just like,
yeah.
Oh, I wish I had noticed if they had like walked out, but it doesn't matter. But I just remember I told Eric Peterson that the next day, and he sounded delighted to hear that.
I just like how does that word become invisible to people?
Well,
Like,
RiffTrax?
like you can, it shows it right in the thing then that it says RiffTrax, this movie. Like it's before the title.
Yeah, RiffTrax Live.
Anyway,
we're getting out. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. We're getting off topic. It's a Wonderful Life follows the story of George Bailey, who, and, let's be honest. This movie is kind of depressing.
Yeah, it
like the very first part of it is his boss, like his son dies from the flu or something.
Oh god, no. Oh
like,
yeah,
that's
Mr.
like the
Gower.
very first thing we get in the movie. Like,
well, no. The first thing that happens, you're getting it all wrong, Jeremy Pluta, pbnawesome.com. You're getting it all wrong. The first thing that happens is that he saves his brother, but his ear gets frozen off, so he can't go into the war.
That's right. I forgot about that. He couldn't.
And that happened in the year 1919. You hear that, and you're like, "Oh my god."
Okay, so pretty much one of the first things we get is his boss at the store. His son died, but I mean, even starting with his brother almost drowning in an icy lake.
So wonderful,
that's
such a wonderful life.
Yeah,
and then the druggist smacks the shit out of him, and he starts bleeding out of his ears.
Yeah, he sure does.
Just like pa, like, oh my god, you could not do that today.
Yeah.
Hitting children is so funny.
Like, okay, so like Dave said, George was not able to enlist during World War II because of his deaf ear. His brother became a Navy pilot, ended up getting a Medal of Honor during the war because he shot down a kamikaze plane or something.
Well, you see, he was just a war hero. He actually got to leave Bedford Falls and go pursue his dream and see the world. Me, I have to stay here and do the buildings and loans. It's it puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. I don't know if I do a good George Bailey or not, but
it's better than what I could even attempt to do. So they this whole thing is some angels, and they're giving the history of George Bailey.
Yeah, up there in like they're galaxies, aren't they?
Yeah,
yeah, they're like heavenly bodies. It's so weird.
It kind of reminds me of when they run into God in Star Trek, or even
Futurama.
when Bender met God in Futurama. Yeah. It was very similar to this.
That sounds probable.
That's actually like the big part of the movie that was actually cut out is after George Bailey's like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself. And
that wasn't bad.
Then Clarence comes down to show him what would have happened if he never would have existed.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's the only part of the movie that I'm familiar with, not because I've seen it, but because it's been referenced in other shows and other movies. Either they've done their own spin on it, or it's been on the TV, like some other characters watching it, or like the part at the end. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
And they've named their child something incredibly stupid.
Zuzu.
Yeah, like what?
Like, why would you name your kid Zuzu?
I am Pazuzu. Isn't that the demon from The Exorcist? I am Pazuzu.
No, that's just Pazuzu. I totally forgot about that.
That should be the title of the episode. I am Pazuzu.
I am Pazuzu. People would really wonder what the crap we were talking about.
Yeah.
But unless unless you've been living in a cave with no TV or internet or any electricity, you're at least going to be somewhat familiar with the story for this movie.
Yeah, a guy has a life that really is not that great, but apparently it was like, okay, all your suffering enabled other people to actually like have good things happen to them, and all you get is this run house. I mean, but hey, at least you get to be married to Donna Reed, and you got to steal a robe after you guys got pushed into a pool at a high school. What the hell was he doing at that party, by the way? I gotta ask. I got to agree that he had no business being at that high school dance. None whatsoever.
No, none whatsoever.
You remember? Okay, this was a thing that happened when I was in high school. Is that you had girls really wanting to be above their station, right, as high school girls, and would ask like boys who had graduated and gone off to college to come back and take them to their high school dance or to their prom or something like that. And you'd see them.
I'm with a college boy.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, okay, now that's fine. Like, you think that's cool when you're in high school and you see it happen. But, like, okay, after you've graduated and left, like, how does that feel?
That's what I love about these high school girls, man. I get older, they stay the same age.
Like, okay, maybe if it was, like, somebody who graduated maybe, like, the year before, I could see that. And have it being like not so weird, but still kind of weird.
Yeah.
But especially not if you're like several years removed from it, and you go back to the prom. Like, no.
Yeah, no. Like, it's so weird too. Just. They're like, what were they having, like a competition out of it or something?
I don't remember. And like he shows up and it's just like, oh, this happens all the time. George is here.
I don't remember if that was part of the movie or if that was part of the riff.
I don't think it matters at this point.
They're dancing and they're not great. And then of course his brother decides to open the floor.
Okay.
Reveal the pool under the floor.
The pool under the floor thing, I remember seeing this when I was a kid. I remember thinking, oh, well, all high schools probably have that. I don't know any better. I'm a stupid kid. And then I find out that's like, no, that's an incredibly bad and terrible idea. Like, how would that even work? You would have to tear up the gym for months in order to make that happen. And why in God's name do the students have the keys to this? It just seems like a recipe for disaster if you could do that. Like, okay, let's say you're losing the high school basketball game. What do?
Open the floor.
You go and you just open the floor and everybody falls in the pool.
Try and drown the opposing team.
Yeah, well, okay. What if it seems. I mean, like, and okay, they say that they had the pool installed right before the dance, and it immediately backfires. Like, whoa, this was a bad idea. And the principal is like, oh no. Like, well, here I go. This is appropriate behavior. God.
Yeah, that was weird. Very weird.
Yeah,
Just
it was weird.
A strange idea.
So anyway, something happens. He tries to go to college, but something stops him. Oh, his dad dies. That's right. His dad dies because I'm remembering the movie. He's taking Donna Reed home, and she loses her robe somehow. I don't remember how.
Yeah,
and
she's
hiding in these thorny bushes, right? Now, I remember seeing this. I remember seeing this scene when I was a kid. I remember thinking, well, that's kind of funny, right? And now I'm just like, this is horrible what he's doing. You know, like I'm 40. I'm really 40 now. My birthday was like 5 days ago, so I'm really 40 now. That also should be the title of the episode. Dave is 40 now. But seeing it as a 40-year-old, seeing somebody who is like in their 20s, withholding a robe from a girl in thorny bushes who is naked, just like, oh well, this is such a peculiar situation. See, right? And be like, and then Donna Reed says, "Oh, I'm going to scream for the police." And Jimmy Stewart says, "Oh, well, no, they'd be on they're way across town, and they'd be on my side." And I'm like, "No, they wouldn't.
Yeah, they'd be on my side.
No, they wouldn't. You would go to jail." Get like okay. So like, what's the end game here, George? Like, you're gonna wait for the 17-year-old girl who is also clearly like 30, but whatever. To come out and she's naked. Okay, then what?
Yeah. Don't think too much about it, guys. But while he's standing there holding the robe, someone pulls up in a car, and they're just like, "Hey, your dad just had a stroke."
Yeah.
And then he like leaves. He's like, "Oh, I gotta go." So he takes over the business, Bailey Brothers Building and Loan.
He takes over the savings and loans. See, Mr. Potter. Well. I'll tell you something, Mr. Potter. People here are sick of you and having to have you lend them money so that they can get their homes and pay you back at a reasonable fee.
Henry Potter.
Avada Kedavra. That's what I'd like to you if I was a wizard. I would Avada Kedavra you right now, Mr. Potter. That I'll tell you what.
Oh man. But yeah, it's I'm so glad that we finally got this as
yeah, same.
I think I would have had problems sitting through this movie vanilla. Honestly.
It is
I know it's a classic and it's supposed to be really good.
It's a slog.
But
it's a slog.
It's slow. Even with the riffs, I was having problems trying to stay awake.
Right.
During it. But it was very funny.
Yes,
and everybody does a really good Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, everyone does. Okay, for those of you who aren't Patreons, you should go be patrons at the RiffTrax Patreon as well. Patreon.com/RiffTrax. Because they did a Zoom call, and everyone did, including Sean and Connor, or Con and Shauner, as we say here on the True Blue RiffCast. They all did these really great Jimmy Stewart's impression, and they answered all of Jeremy's questions too. That was a thing.
That's because I'm the number one RiffTrax fan.
Yeah, I suppose you are.
He's relenting, folks. He's relenting.
So how I said that, I was very upset. Like, so it's not genuine, okay? I'm being Mr. Sarcastic, not relenting anything. I have to explain everything.
I don't care, I'll take it.
Got to explain myself here on the True Blue RiffCast.
Definitely check this one out, guys. It's
they all do really good.
Movie, and it's a classic riff. Like immediately, it's an instant classic.
I think we do have to talk about if anybody wants to go check out that Zoom call from the RiffTrax Patreon. It's worth it just to hear Kevin do the Jim Dalen line as Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, that was really good. Somebody did a drill tweet, which was amazing.
I don't know what that is.
There's plenty of people who do, and they'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah, we got some outstanding Jimmy Stewart impressions on there. We even got them to drop a Magneto Cerebro.
Magneto Cerebro.
It was a lot of fun. They do that from time to time on there, where they do these Zoom calls, and that's worth it just in and of itself right there, because you get some direct interaction with Usually Mike, Kevin, and Bill, Con and Sean, or sometimes some other people. It's a lot of fun. Go check it out. Patreon.com/RiffTrax. Not for us, for them. But they did say one last thing about It's a Wonderful Life. They did say that they are still talking about doing an MP3 release for the full version of the movie.
Really?
Yes. So we'll
we
see
have
if
this
that
thing. Why
actually
do we
comes
need
to
that?
fruition. They are still discussing it. Well, because people want the full thing. They want the whole movie. And I get that, So it would be neat if they did it. But speaking of MP3 releases, Dave.
Yeah.
They did one of your all-time favorite movies.
This is correct. Mortal Kombat! Welcome back from the edit, everybody. I swear to God, if you don't edit that out.
No, I will.
Okay, all right. You can leave this in where I tell you, swear to God, don't edit that. That's funny, but what just happened, not funny. So Mortal Kombat was a stretch goal for the 2020 RiffTrax live season, which is now going to be the RiffTrax 2021 live season. But but it's cool. It's like I like to consider it a companion piece, if you will, to Street Fighter, which we got in 2019.
Yes.
But as to Jeremy's point,
nicely together.
As it being one of my favorite movies of all time, I have 6 all-time favorite movies. They are Thor Ragnarok, The Ten Commandments, Star Wars The Force Awakens. That is the best Star Wars movie. I will fight you on the internet, not in real life. Back to the Future, Clue, and Mortal Kombat. Can't even remember my own list. Mike Ernest Klein over here just listing off all my favorite movies. Anyway, those are my top 6, right? And I love Mortal. Like, I saw it when I was 14, and that probably contributes to. I mean, I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan of the video games. It was very formative to me in my teenage years, being a member of the class of 1999. And seeing it on the big screen was just mind blowing, like, right? So just like all my 90s teenager, it just had everything you could love being a teenager in the year 1995. Okay.
And more importantly, it's a better movie than Street Fighter.
Yeah, it is. Of the 2 movies, Mortal Kombat is better, but I also do love Street Fighter. Unironically, I think it's a great comedy. I know you and I disagree on this, but Street Fighter is a fantastic comedy. I remember seeing it for the first time. Someone said you have to watch it as a comedy, and I thought they meant so bad it's good kind of thing. But no, it's actually really good and really funny. I love Street Fighter. I'll defend it. I don't have any qualms about doing that. I went into this riff not really knowing what to expect, and I found out, and I'm not complaining about this, but I found out that they at RiffTrax don't have the same reverence for the Mortal Kombat movie that I do. They sure don't.
Now,
it's fine. It's all fine and a good fun. I really did like this riff just because I think that I've always believed that when you add RiffTrax to a movie, the movie becomes a different experience, and that's what this was. And I'm really glad that one of my top movies. I mean, The Force Awakens has been riffed for a while now, but that I got to experience this with RiffTrax. It kind of this and the previous movie that we just talked about. It's a Wonderful Life. I get really it. It made me happy that we kind of got that bit of RiffTrax back. We got a big quote unquote blockbuster, something to like a movie that we all kind of know about, and run a RiffTrax like right along it. I mean, that was just fun and all that great big energy of these big movies, and we get to watch it with Mike, Kevin, and Bill cracking alongside it, and we get the older type of movie from It's a Wonderful Life in VOD form. To me, it's like, oh, this is great. This is what RiffTrax was a while ago. Because I've talked about it a lot. Just like the last few years, it's just been like nothing but me movies, and
yeah.
After a while, you feel like you've kind of seen all the kinds of B movies there are. So it's really nice and refreshing, just kind of like get back to like this. Right? I was like, oh, here's a great movie from the '90s that they're making fun of. Oh, and now here's a movie from like 100 damn years ago that we get to, that everyone knows, that that we're. I just feel like, particularly with It's a Wonderful Life, I think that's like a very important addition to the RiffTrax canon. Like I said before we started our discussion, I feel like It's a Wonderful Life in particular. They're both very important entries, but I think It's a Wonderful Life in particular is important in that they've talked about doing it for such a long time, and it's such a big part of our pop culture, and now it's a part of the RiffTrax canon. I feel like a missing piece of RiffTrax has been filled. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it should have been there, kind of like the whole time.
Yeah.
So now it's like there's like what a great thing.
So let's talk a little bit about Enter the Dragon. Mortal Kombat.
Oh well, with that, I'm going on record as saying that Mortal Kombat is a fantastic movie.
Yeah, you know what? I enjoy the movie for what it is. It's not, now
it's not Shakespeare, for God's sake, but it's a great movie.
It's not the sequel.
Yeah, let's not talk about. Oh God, no! I don't even want to see that as the RiffTrax. That movie is literally my least favorite movie of all time.
Which is such an amazing contrast between the first movie and the sequel.
It angers me. It angers me to think about the sequel. It made me feel stupid for liking the first movie.
Now there are some very good things that actually hold up in Mortal Kombat. First and foremost, the fight choreography.
Yeah, the fight choreography is amazing.
Very good. This, as opposed to the digital effects.
Yeah.
I know it was early '90s, mid '90s that this came out, but yeah, they Reptile in particular.
Well, also story-wise, Reptile just comes out of nowhere. It really does look like some Unreal Engine nonsense happening there. Like, oh my God.
At least it's not on the same level as Uwe Ball's House of the Dead, but
I've never even seen that.
They literally took stuff from the game and used it in the movie. Like actual graphics from the game as far as zombies and stuff. It's so bad. But this movie, the good thing about this is they actually used some of the elements from the movie to influence things in the games.
Oh yes. After welcome back from the edit. Yes. I know who the Mortal Kombat characters are, but the wonderful Trevor Goddard and his performance as Kano. Kano was originally intended to be an American character, an American criminal, and Trevor Goddard, who is Australian, came on set and be like, I'm going to make him Australian. And the performance was so memorable that they made Kano canonically Australian in the games. And that doesn't really manifest itself so much until you get to Mortal Kombat 9, released in 2011, which I'm going to go ahead and plant my flag. The best Mortal Kombat game, maybe the best fighting game that there is. And in the story mode, which is essentially like this long 3-hour movie that you play through, the voice actor because they couldn't get Trevor Goddard because unfortunately he has passed. I believe he passed in 2003. They got him to do just like this dead on impression of Trevor Goddard's performance in the video games. Like I think in the last 3 games in MK9, MK10, and MK11.
Yeah.
But it definitely had an influence going forward.
Oh, definitely. And they also started using Shang Tsung's line, "Your soul is mine."
Your soul is mine. See, now that also stands true for Shang Tsung, because in MK11 they actually brought back the actor. I'm not going to even try to pronounce his name because I'm uncultured, but I know his first name's Carey.
Yeah.
So they got that actor who is fantastic, and they modeled Shang Tsung after him in MK11 and got him to come back and play the voice. And it's such a trip to see that. So, it's...
yeah. When they announced that, I was like, wait a second. Hold on. That's the guy from the movie.
Yeah. People love this movie. I mean, I know you can tell, like, I love this movie. Just too bad the sequel was just such a rotting pile of garbage. And just, like, wrecked.
It was
I just essentially
festering pit.
Yeah, just essentially destroyed the Mortal Kombat franchise for 5 years. It did like that movie literally spoiled people. Not spoiled people. It poisoned people against Mortal Kombat for a little bit, and then when Mortal Kombat came to consoles in 2002 with Deadly Alliance, that was really 5 years later. That was really when the franchise kind of got back on its feet. But
yeah. Speaking of characters from the movie that they put in the game, they actually put Lyndon Ashby's Johnny Cage in the game.
When did they do
as
that?
A premium skin.
Really? When did this happen?
Yeah. I'm looking to see if there's like an actual.
Is this with MK11?
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it had to.
I don't know. I don't get all those. I mean,
one of the costume packs or whatever. But
I don't get the costume packs. I don't need that. I'm like, they already got my $59.95 once. Like,
but it's still cool.
Yeah, finish the game. DLCs.
So how about the riffs, Dave?
The riffs were fantastic.
Did you have any in particular that stood out to you, other than just the general fact of them pointing out that the movie's not that great?
That's really what stood out to me. I mean, I'm not complaining about it, but the whole time I was just like, damn, they really don't like this movie.
Like, he sent me a message talking about how much they didn't like
it.
They
really don't. Again, not complaining about it because it is a really good, funny riff, but just like, I was like, damn, they really don't like this movie. Do you remember when our parents died? I didn't realize how kind of like dumb that line was until they pointed it out how dumb it was. But I was just like, well, I mean, but then I just started to defend the movie a little bit. Well, you see, that's not really his brother. It's Shang Tsung. He's a demon. He's trying to be like, but then like, Dave, they're right. They're right. It's okay. It's a dumb line. It's okay.
It's all right, man.
It's okay. Be like, man. And I was just like, I'm trying to defend the movie against the RiffTrax, but not like in an angry way, but just like trying to convince them like of the genius of it. No, it's not like that. It's like this. Just trying to be like this movie's biggest like pleading fanboy to RiffTrax, and I can just hear Mike and Connor just like patting me on the shoulder like, Dave, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay.
You should really just relax.
Yeah. Oh. It's going to be okay. It's just jokes. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. The other thing of note is that this release made 4 Just the Jokes MP3 releases from RiffTrax this year.
Nice.
That's a pretty
That's
decent.
That's got to be a record.
Yeah, that was really cool. I'm glad we got more MP3 releases. I do enjoy being able to watch those You know, like my family can be watching a movie, and I'll turn on the app and I'll put like one of my earbuds in, and I'll try not to laugh too loud to ruin their enjoyment of the movie just by itself, while I'm sitting here watching Endgame and laughing my butt off.
Yeah. Like the only way I could get my family to watch RiffTrax is to take them to live shows, but they haven't been to a live show since like 2015. Like some people in my family are like way into Harry Potter, and the only way I could get into Harry Potter was through the RiffTrax. Now I know more about Harry Potter than I thought I would like 10 years ago. But I mean, but it's they don't like it when I make fun of Harry Potter. So I'll just like put like I'll do what you do, and I'll like put the earbuds in for like number 4, the one with the dragon, and where they kill Cedric Diggory. What the hell is that one called?
Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, the Goblet of Fire. Yeah, that's a great underrated one. Everybody, go get that. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, I think all the movies are up on like HBO Max or something right now. If you don't have them, same with Twilight. All the Twilights are up on Amazon Prime and Hulu. So if you want to watch those, which you definitely should, if you've never seen them, go spend $3 on the Riff
$3 or $4. Yeah,
and,
Twilight's kind of making a comeback a little bit.
Streaming service that you already have.
Twilight's making a little bit of a comeback here in the year 2020. What with all the Midnight Suns.
Ugh. Yeah, the story of Twilight, but from Edward's point of view.
Apparently, it's like twice as long.
Yeah, that was another one that they did on the 372 Pages podcast.
You did it to yourself.
I didn't read it. There's no way I was going to read that one. But yeah. So that's about all we have for Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
Before we move on to the True Blue MandoCast, I want to mention that our next episode will be our end of the year best of 2020 spectacular. And on January 1st, I will be posting a poll that consists of every short, every RiffTrax Presents VOD, and every regular RiffTrax VOD, and the MP3 releases for you to go vote on your top 3 favorites. So make sure you're watching social media for that at TBRiffCast on Twitter, and we'll be posting it on the RiffTrax group on Facebook as well, because we want your opinions on this too. We don't want to be the only voices heard all the time on this thing. And I might have a couple special surprises for that episode as well.
Ooh.
But until then, it's time to talk about the Mandalorian.
Right out of the gate, spoilers.
If you haven't watched the season finale, do not listen to this.
Shut this down now. Now I know on Twitter, I know this will come as a galloping shock to everybody listening to this podcast, okay? But Star Wars fans are dicks, okay? So,
well, but before we get into this, we'll say goodbyes to you now for people who are leaving us.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys with our end of the year spectacular in a couple weeks. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then. Okay, now we can talk about Mandalorian.
Is that why we're doing this last? Because people just kind of
why we're doing this
because people just kind of like noped out from the first hour of the last podcast.
We want to make sure we're not spoiling things for people, because some people, like I know people that I work with, were waiting for the whole season to be done so they could just sit down and binge all of the episodes.
Like a normal person, like a normal TV show since like 2005.
Yeah. Which would have been way more interesting.
Yeah.
To sit down and binge this. But all right, so the second to last episode. You know what, Dave? Finish talking about people on Twitter first.
Okay, yeah. Star Wars fans are dicks. Okay, there's a big thing coming to at the very end of the last episode. Okay, I don't care who you are. You did not see it coming. You couldn't have. It's impossible. It's impossible to see what was coming. Have come. It's ridiculous, stupid on its face. Don't say that to me because I'm going to call you a liar. All right, you didn't see it coming. All right, when it came out that day, I'm gonna tell this story, Jeremy. Is that you sent me a message saying, "Oh my gosh, the Mandalorian season finale!" Right? And I was like, "What about it?" He's like, "This is so good." And I was like, "Okay, I'll watch it in like an hour." That was like at 9 a.m, right? Because we both work nights and we can do that.
Yeah.
Like, all right, whatever. So I'm watching this thing and I'm like, okay, well, okay, it's not bad. It's like, it's good. It's exciting, but and then a big thing happens and I was like, oh my gosh. Right. So that was like,
Yeah.
okay. It was because before I was like, well, Jeremy's excitement really, well, I mean, it's good. It wasn't like as good as last year's finale, but it's all right. I don't know if Jeremy's great enthusiasm was really all that warranted, unless he's just very easily impressed. But
no, it's just the last couple minutes.
Yeah. It's the last few minutes that just the way they did it. But
Yes.
Star Wars fans saw this, and it was early, right? And they were already spoiling it for everybody. They just we're putting just the big thing. It's like, why is this thing trending on Twitter? Like, oh, that's why. Thanks for nothing, But
Yeah.
So that's why we're putting a big spoiler alert in front of all this.
Yeah. So if you somehow haven't gotten spoiled yet, good for you and bye. But the previous episode, the penultimate episode of the season.
No.
We
got to talk about the last 3 episodes.
The last 3
Yeah,
episodes.
we got to talk about the one where they pick up Baby Yoda from the planet.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We didn't get to that one.
Yeah, we didn't get to that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So after Mando met with Ahsoka Tano,
who's getting her own show now.
Yes. She told him to go to this planet. I forget the name of it. There's ruins of a Jedi temple. Stick Grogu up on the rock.
Yeah, up on the Sorting Hat Rock.
He will reach out, and if any other Jedi are nearby, if any of the other Jedi are nearby, they'll swing by and they'll pick him up. So while Mando is there, he had to go away from his ship because he couldn't land near the thing. So they flew in with jetpack, and he sat him down on the rock, and he's just like, "All right, kid,
do your thing.
Whatever you need to do."
And it wasn't doing anything for a second.
And he's looking around trying to see if there's a switch to activate it or something. And all of a sudden you hear a ship flying in.
And it's Slave One. And it's Slave One. Any Star Wars fan worth their salt is going to recognize this thing as Slave One. And it's just like, well, there's only one person who could be on that.
Yes. And as it turns out, we had our first full appearance from Boba Fett.
Which I did not see coming, right? Now, you would think that this was going to be the big, the one big coup, the one big major thing that they got from the original trilogy for the entire series, right?
Yeah.
Because Boba Fett really is the show itself is about the legacy of Boba Fett, really.
Yeah. It's the Boba Fett show.
Yeah.
So Boba Fett shows up, and he's got Mulan with him.
Mm-hmm.
And who was in the first season, and she got shot and was left for dead. And then, we had the feet walk up to her, and that was Boba Fett.
But there's also a RiffTrax connection to this. Did you know that?
No.
The RiffTrax connection is the actress who plays Mulan also played Chun-Li in
Oh, that's right.
Street Fighter.
Yes. That is right.
And she has not
Even though
aged
we're
a day.
No, she still
That's
looks
insane.
fantastic.
She's 57, and she is smoking hot, if I might say so. It's crazy. She is
Yeah.
crazy hot. Anyway, and like I say that like she's so hot that I have to say she's hot, and it angers me that I have to admit that she is as hot as she is. Like, I am very attracted to this woman.
Boba Fett is there because he wants his armor back from Din Djarin.
And he's like, no can do.
Yeah, he's like, wait a second. You're not Mandalorian. You don't get this armor back. And then we get another ship coming in.
And it's the
a drop
Empire.
ship. And it's literally a clown car full of stormtroopers. Because, I'm sorry, that ship didn't look big enough to have that many stormtroopers in it. At least to me. I don't know if it was just looked weird from the angle it was or whatever, but they had to really have been packed in there like sardines, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't matter because they all died. They just get slaughtered.
Right. They all get completely smoked. And basically Boba Fett's like, you give me my armor back and I'll help you protect the child. And they start killing all these stormtroopers. Mando goes back up to where Grogu is because he's trying to get him off the rock, but there's like this
weird force field around him.
Force
can't
shielding
get to him.
around him.
Yep.
And he like can't push through it, like it's flinging him back like through the air. And then another ship comes down full of stormtroopers, so he runs down to help Boba Fett and Mulan. And then right after he leaves, the shielding goes down and Baby Yoda passes out. And then he goes down just in time to save them from the other stormtroopers. But then Moff Gideon, up in his cruiser, activates the Dark Troopers.
Right.
Who are now droids.
Yeah.
Instead of people.
Yeah, they're
in
mecha
suits.
troopers, yeah.
Yeah, they're basically Iron Man. And they fly down.
And they're just like unstoppable.
Yeah. They fly down, grab the baby, and fly off. And Boba Fett's going to shoot him out of the air in Slave 1. But they're like, no, you can't hit the kid. So he's like, all right, I'll just follow him then. And he goes up and he sees the cruiser and he's like, oh, the Empire's back.
Yeah, you can almost hear the Imperial March playing. Also, Jeremy, you left out a very important fact. Something that shocked me. Is that they destroyed the Razor Crest.
Yes.
The Razor Crest is gone.
The cruiser blew up the Razor Crest on the ground.
Yes, the iconic ship of the show
is gone. Also,
it's gone.
his
obliterated.
His blaster, his big rifle thing is gone. All he has left is his jetpack and the Beskar steel spear that he got from the previous episode. From
and that little ball that Baby Yoda was obsessed with.
Yes, and we see Baby Yoda up on the ship, and he is just wrecking stormtroopers.
Oh, that's right. He's just kicking everybody's ass up there.
And then he finally passes out. They shock him or stun him or whatever.
And they put some Isilamari on him. All you EU fans out there will know what I'm talking about.
They put the cutest, tiniest handcuffs on him. And
did they make handcuffs that big? That just seems kind of like that's one of the things I called on in this episode. But so stupid handcuffs. Like here, little baby. Like what are they? Do they have like monkeys on the thing that they're handcuffing?
I don't know. Maybe for Ewoks or something. Who knows? But they Moff Gideon kind of taunts him with the Darksaber a little bit, and then that's the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. No, it's not the end of the episode. Yeah,
he goes back. He talks to Cara, and Cara's like,
Jared goes back to talk to Cara Dune.
She's like, I'm a lawman now. And he's like, help me find Bill Burr. And she's like, that's against the law. And he's like, they have the kid. And she's like, okay.
And it's funny because our previous episode, when we talked about the previous 4 episodes before that,
Mhm.
we brought up the fact that we were waiting for them to bring him back into the show.
Mm-hmm.
And that the next episode, they bring him back into the show. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he did a great job.
And then the next episode after this, they do actually bring his character back. They go to the scrap planet that he's on, and
It's like the most docile prison next
she's
to
a marshal.
Shawshank. Yeah.
And she takes him, and she's like, "There, Mando's there, and Boba Fett's there with a brand new paint job on his armor.
Yeah, he painted the hell out of that thing.
Fresh, and Mulan is there, and they take Bill Burr to this other planet where there's a mining facility because they need to get to the.
They got to do something.
They need to get to one of the consoles, one of the Imperial consoles, so they can find out where Moff Gideon is. And Bill Burr, ex-Imperial, so, he should be able to help him get in. And this is where things kind of start changing with Din Djarin in the fact of taking his helmet off. And I think I brought this up earlier when we were talking about the earlier episodes, that something was going to happen, and he was going to start having his helmet off more.
A lot more. I was really surprised.
Yeah, in this episode, they're trying to sneak into this mining facility. So they take over one of the transports that's transporting this basically nitroglycerin, space nitroglycerin through the jungle. And they get attacked by these pirates who are trying to blow up these transports. And they blow up the other two. And Mando is wearing one of the transport trooper armors instead of his regular Beskar. So he's up there fighting these guys, and he keeps trying to block stuff the way that he normally does. And he still blocks it, but it hurts him a little bit because he doesn't have his Beskar steel on. And so he's on top of this transport, fighting everybody off. They end up getting to the mine, and the stormtroopers come out and protect them the rest of the way in. And then we get one of the most uncomfortable scenes ever, at least for me during the show, when they get inside the mining facility and all of the troopers start cheering for them. Like, it felt dirty. I know that was the point, but
you really showed those rebel scum.
Yeah. So they go in, and right away they're like, all right, let's get to this console and let's get the crap out of here. And they're like, well, it needs facial recognition, and I can't go in because this guy in there was one of my commanding officers back in the day. And so Mando's like, all right, I'll go in. And he walks in, and he gets over to the console, and he takes the helmet off.
I was really surprised that they did that.
Now, we do need to mention the little conversation that they were having before they were attacked in the transport. Because Bill Burr was like, we're all the same. We're all the same. You guys are the same as us. We all have problems. Alderaan, I'm from Alderaan. You're from Mandalore. Neither of those places exist anymore. And he's basically telling him, you can take the helmet off. Is it the same if you have a different helmet on as if you have your Mandalorian helmet on? Or are you just have your helmet off now? And your
rules
really
changed to fit the situation. Yeah. It's kind of like mocking the premise of the show. Here, I'll tell you also what I think. I also think this is kind of like a thing with Pedro Pascal wanting to take his helmet off. So they're working in that Pedro Pascal can show his pudgy middle-aged face more.
He takes the helmet off to get his face scanned, and then for the rest of that scene while they're in there, he has his helmet off, and he's not answering the commanding officer. And Bill Burr comes in, he's like, oh, you'll have to forgive him. He went a little deaf after being bombed, and so he just acts like he can't hear him for the most part. And then they sit down and they have a drink celebrating them making it to the facility safely with his old commanding officer.
I just call him Brown Eyes. What?
Yeah.
It's only the dumbest nickname you can give somebody.
Dave?
What's that?
Who's the commanding officer?
I don't
Do you
know.
remember?
No.
What else was he in?
I'm
He
going to
was
feel
in Game
really
of
dumb when
Thrones.
you tell me, probably.
He was in Game of Thrones.
Was he?
Yeah.
Who was he?
Game of Thrones. He was the Night King.
He's the Night King?
Yep. He was the Night King.
He's the Night King. That guy.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's okay. He went down like a chump anyway. Just like he went down in this show.
Yeah, because they started talking about one of
Started
the
talking about the old times and about some bombing.
one of the old
or something.
operations.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they like destroyed an entire city.
And he's basically okay. Bill Burr, I gotta say something about this conversation. Bill Burr, clearly his character, if you've seen any movie at all, anybody talking about that, or even just in general, he's clearly like not a fan of what happened there. And this other dude, the Night King, he just be like, yes, well, you can't make an omelet without making eggs or something stupid and tone deaf like that. Like, okay, this guy's gonna die. Bill Burr is going to murder this man.
I really thought Bill Burr was going to jump up and like punch him in the face and then they were going to run. No, he blasted him in the chest.
Like in front of everyone.
Like he just couldn't take it anymore and he just murked the guy right there. And they had to escape through the window.
Yeah. And
like
Bill Burr's like, I never saw your face. I never saw your face. That's a terrible Boston accent.
And they escaped up to the roof where they were picked up by Slave One. And then Bill Burr like grabbed the sniper rifle away from Mulan and blew up one of the fuel deposits, and they destroyed the whole mining facility as they were leaving. And that earned Bill Burr his freedom. Yes. He was able to just walk away, and they found out where Moff Gideon was. And then Mando sent him a message.
Be like, I'm gonna come get my baby.
He said the same thing to Moff Gideon that Moff Gideon sent to him in the second to last episode of the first season, about how you may have some idea of what it is you have, but it is more valuable to me than you understand, and I will come and get him back.
Turnabout's fair play. Also, before we continue, can we please, when you talk about Mulan, can we please properly refer to that character as Chun-Li? I mean...
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, I'm about to say, because that'd be a deal breaker. If we can't do that, I quit the True Blue MandoCast. Not the True Blue RiffTrax, just the True Blue MandoCast. Because I guess those are different things now.
So the season finale.
Yes.
Oh man.
Okay, now before we start on this, I gotta say, people are gonna say that this episode is the best episode of the series. It's going to be like best of. I'm going to say that I disagree. I'm going to say that last year's season finale, directed by Taika Waititi, is technically a superior episode to this. Okay? Just going to be upfront about that.
I will agree with that because the overall episode for the season 1 finale had more oomph, I think.
Yeah, had a lot. It was a lot. Yeah.
This episode has the best moment of the series.
I will say that. The qualifier is that this has the best moment and of the series. And I don't think that's disputable. We could almost just blah 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 everything up to that moment. As right now, I'd be like, okay, so they go to the ship. Oh, no, wait. So they actually go to another planet, right? They go to another planet first to get...
and they find Bo-Katan.
Yeah, they find Bo-Katan and Sasha Banks. And their white male companion is just nowhere to be found.
He's gone. He probably died
he's just
somewhere.
Be like, I got to go on another mission. People don't recognize me. I'm not Katie Sackhoff or Sasha Banks. I'm going to mess up that whole girl power vibe that this whole episode has going into it. More on that when we get to it. But so they show up on that planet. And
Boba Fett is there with them.
Yeah, Boba Fett and Chun-Li and Mando show up at this place. And
they start talking
Kara's there too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And they start talking to Bo-Katan, and she's like, "You're not Mandalorian. You're a clone."
Yeah, they like have like
Right.
this big. They have like this big racist thing against clones. There, it's just like, well, this is
Yeah.
not very cool of you guys. And then Sasha Banks and Boba Fett have a little wrestling match.
Yeah,
Like,
and it gets broken up.
yeah. So
They're
like
just
like
like,
like
"All right,
that was
guys,
like
listen."
I could be like I can kind of sense that like Sasha Banks was like, hey, I said 2 words in the previous episode that I was in. A lot of people tuned into this thing. A lot of wrestling fans tuned in to see me, and like all my lines were like when you couldn't even see my face. Okay, so like
Yeah.
let me have a little wrestling match with Boba Fett in this episode, and give the wrestling fans kind of what they came here to see. So let me show off all my sweet wrestle moves.
So they convince them to come along because Gideon's got the Darksaber and the child, and we need your help to get them back. You can have the Darksaber. I don't care about that. Just help me
really
get the kid, and
doesn't.
you can have whatever you want. They have the Doctor
Yeah,
kidnapped, and they have his Imperial shuttle.
like is he a good guy or a bad guy? I really don't get it.
Now, okay, I think he's a bad guy, just because of what he's doing and who he works for.
Yeah. Well.
But he has his own self-preservation, at first and foremost.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to die. So he's like, I'll tell you anything you want to know, man. Just don't kill me. But that's how I got spoiled on the reveal for this episode. One of the pilots for the Doctor looked very familiar to my son and I. Were like, well, I wonder what he's from. And then like an idiot, I loaded up IMDb. And I got spoiled on the moment.
Oh, you did?
I didn't spoil him, but
Did it show the actor that they credited?
yep, sure did.
I bet you were like, huh, that's weird.
Yeah, I was like, why is that person listed here? Anyway, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But they use the Imperial shuttle to act like they're being chased by Slave One to get inside the cruiser. They basically crash it in through the TIE Fighter launch tube, which I thought that was kind of a good way to do it.
And then they basically girl power way murdering their way to their goal.
Yep.
Every stormtrooper, I have to believe every single person on this ship had to have been murdered by these women.
Yeah, I do believe
It's
that.
crazy. And they put up almost no resistance.
Well, they're stormtroopers. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you expect?
But,
Mando has to try and stop the activation of the Dark Troopers.
yeah.
So that's like his goal on the way to Grogu.
Yeah. And he basically just shoots them all into space.
Yeah, he sucks them out the airlock, but he does neutralize
but before he gets his ass kicked by one. Like really bad.
Yeah.
Like real
he ends
bad.
up
Like,
killing him
oh
with
my
a Beskar
gosh.
spear through the head.
Like it took everything he had.
Yeah, he has the things like punching him into the wall.
Like, he was getting punched into the wall. It's like these things are unstoppable. Like they did a really good job of portraying these things. It's just completely, totally unstoppable. If like one of those women had encountered these things, they would be dead. They would be dead.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Like these are not like your average stormtroopers. They like, they are extremely effective. Even when they get shot out into space, they like circle around and come back.
Yeah, because they have jet boots.
Yeah.
And so after they took the bridge, the women were all on the bridge.
Yeah.
And Mando found Moff Gideon, or Moff Gideon found Mando after he sucked all the Dark Troopers out of space. And they fought.
Well, first Moff Gideon lies to him and be like, oh yeah, you can take him. And I got what I want from him.
Yeah, I got what I want. Yeah, just take it.
And everybody you're with are jerks, but whatever. I'll deal with it later. Yeah. But and then he just like attacks him when his back turned and defeats him. Yeah.
Yeah, he tries to take out Mando, they have a really cool fight because the Darksaber can't cut through the Beskar steel.
Beskar, yeah.
So Mando actually has the advantage, and he ends up beating him. He disarms him, and he shows up on the bridge with the child and Moff Gideon and the Darksaber.
Yeah, and he tries to give the Darksaber to Katie Sackhoff.
Moff Gideon is just like, oh, hey, look, you have the Darksaber. And she wants it, and she's going to do whatever it takes to get it. And Mando's just like, oh, okay, here you go. I don't want this thing. And they're just like, no, the Darksaber doesn't hold any power unless there's a story behind how you got it. And she has to defeat you in combat. And Mando's just like, okay, I yield.
Is that a thing from Rebels, what they're doing?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Like, it seems kind of dubious to me, but whatever. Okay, now before we get into what happens next.
Yeah, Mando's just like, you beat me, I yield, take it. And they're like, no, that's not how this works. Boba takes off along with Chun-Li.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. Put a pin in that.
Yes. And then the Dark Troopers fly back to the ship, and they all come and they start trying to break into the bridge.
Yeah. Okay, now before we get into what happens next, the big moment that we've been alluding to. I just got to say that this whole girl power thing that they were doing with Sasha Banks, Chun-Li, Cara Dune, and Katie Sackhoff, that was done really, really well. It didn't bash you over the head with the fact like, oh, we're girls and we're kicking a lot of ass and men suck, that kind of thing. They didn't do that. They just had these 4 characters that they've earned and that they've established and earned their badassery through their actions, and just went in there and just like kicked all these stormtroopers' asses. It was done really well, and you believe it. Like other TV shows out there could learn from this. Star Trek Discovery. Anyway, I just want to say,
I do have one question about that part.
Yeah.
How does a blaster jam? Because Cara Dune's big blaster rifle jammed up.
I'll tell you how. Shut up.
Like,
that's how it jams. You're not supposed to ask those questions. Girl power.
All right, so it's just a McGuff.
Yeah.
Yes, girl power. Okay. Again, we're not mocking that. We
No,
actually
we're not. We're absolutely not. I'm praising it. Because in Star Trek Discovery, it's done so horribly bad, but in this, it's done just It's great because they're treating these characters as badasses, and they're not trying to like cram something that doesn't really fit. Like, they've earned it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they've definitely earned it. So they're all trapped on the bridge. Moff Gideon is like sitting on top of a blaster. He's
like on the floor. Like
they're gonna break through,
but not really.
Yeah, and they're pounding through the door. It's starting to get bend inwards toward them, and all of a sudden, through one of the windows, you see an X-wing.
You see one X-wing, and it's just like, and then Cara Dune says, "Oh, one X-wing, we're saved." And then Sasha Banks goes over to the communications pad, right? And she's like, X-Wing, identify yourself. And then what I said, and the only reason I said it is because it's so ridiculous, like it'll never happen. I'd just be like, this is Red 5, I'm coming in, right? Be like, yeah, right, that'll never happen, right?
Initially going into this episode, I expected a smaller name Jedi, like maybe the guy from Rebels or something, comes in. And I'm like,
from like, what's his name? Ezra Bridges?
Ezra. Yeah, like somebody kind of recognized.
Yeah, that was another person who watches those shows said that as well, that they thought it was going to be Ezra Bridges. I'll tell you who I always thought, like when they were saying that the Jedi were going to come in, I just thought that it was going to be like some like lost tribe of the Jedi coming in.
Yeah.
Right? I never for a second thought who was going to be that showed up was ever going to show up, right? I mean, I guess I already spoiled it. Like, I never thought that Red 5 would just like, Red 5, I'm coming in. And I texted you. Do you remember this?
Yes.
I'll be like, wait. And I'll be like, and then like he lands, and it's just wanted to be like, well, wait. Like, but then, like, I remember when it was like Grogu just made that little thing, like, huh? I was like, no, wait a second. Like, this doesn't make, like, okay, so if it's rated to Grogu, then it's Jedi. What Jedis fly X-Wing other than Luke Skywalker?
Yeah.
Right? And then I particularly was like, wait, there's no way this could be who I think it might be now. Right? And then they show him fighting like in the black robes. It's like, oh, yep. All right. Like, like they build up to it is great. And then that moment of no return is like the green lightsaber, right?
Yes.
It was the green lightsaber. Like, okay, all right. Like that's when, like, that's like when people just like jump up.
Yeah. You see the gloved hand, and the other hand is not gloved.
Yeah, the gloved hand, and with the green lightsaber.
They did it. The crazy bastards did it.
Yeah, and you see him, and he's kicking, dude. He's kicking so much ass. They're not even a challenge for him.
It was very reminiscent of the scene from the end of Rogue One, where Darth Vader comes in.
Yeah, that's why. Well, Jon Favreau said that this was inspired by that scene.
Yeah, you can definitely tell
that they wanted Luke to go through. Yeah, and that it was like just like Luke Skywalker being like the avenging angel. Like, going through and just being that badass that Darth Vader was in.
So
Rogue
he comes
One.
in, he cleans house.
So, like father, like son. Yeah.
He comes to the bridge and Mando's like, open the doors. And they're like, what? No. And he's like, no, we'll just open the doors.
And they're like, no, don't do that.
Because Grogu's like watching and like in awe. And he's like, no, just open the doors. It's fine. So he goes over and opens the doors, and in walks
Luke Skywalker. And it's like, wah, 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 wah. Couple things about this. One, how we were talking before about the green lightsaber and the gloved hand. Another thing that did it for me before he took the hood off was his belt buckle. I know it sounds stupid, but it was like the same belt buckle from Jedi. It's just like they nailed like every aspect of it. Except the face.
I mean, it was pretty good. Yeah.
It's close enough. It's good enough for like, okay, we know. And see, and that's the reason why you didn't expect Luke Skywalker to show up in this show, because Mark Hamill is like 100 years old, right? I mean, we all saw The Last Jedi, whether you liked it or hate it, you bastards. There's no way that you're going to get like a mid-30s Luke Skywalker to come on this show. It's just like not really possible, because like the audience is not going to accept anybody besides Mark Hamill playing that role. I know there's a lot of people like, well, Sebastian Stan could have done it. Nobody really knows who Sebastian Stan is. Like, he's the Winter Soldier. Shut up.
People would have noticed.
We all know who Sebastian Stan is. Yeah. So like, but so he takes the hood off. And it's this Rogue One effect. Okay, look, it's not really a complaint. Yeah. They did the best they could. It was a great moment, but you take it off and you definitely like, oh my, like that was like for me, it wasn't like a moment, because we all already knew that it was Luke Skywalker. I mean, even an idiot does that. But like for me, it's like, okay, are they going to show his face? And they did. And my response was, yeah, like okay, well, I mean, they did the best they could. And it's still great.
And Mark Hamill was on set to record his lines.
Yeah. And they credited him, which was awesome. But just like they didn't have him say much, because I don't think they wanted to like have to deal with like the animating the face all that much, because they didn't want to expose the weaknesses. They're like, okay, Mark, you're going to say like 15 words in this scene. We're going to keep it real simple, and we're going to try to keep as much of it from like half of his dialogue is like when you can't see his mouth. Like, go back and watch it.
It's still more than he said in
like, are you a Jedi? I am. Yeah, but anyway, so continue with your. I just wanted to get that in there. Like the CGI was.
It was CGI. That's what it was. It was CGI. Yeah.
They did the best they could.
So Mark Hamill is.
Yeah,
Luke Skywalker's talking to Mando about the kid. He's like, he doesn't want to come with me, and Mando's like, it's time to go, dude. Like, he's a Jedi. He's going to train you. And Grogu puts his hand up on the side of the helmet. And then Mando's like, oh, okay. So he took the helmet off, and then he picked Grogu back up and let him touch his face. It was a very touching goodbye. It was very well done. And then he sets him down, and then R2-D2 comes out, and it's just like,
yeah, R2-D2. See, that's weird. Like, why was it R2 that showed up, and like R2 was the reason that he went. Like it was R2 that came and like convinced.
I wonder
him.
if R2 recognized Grogu from when he was at, being trained on Coruscant. I don't know.
It's possible.
So they leave. Grogu's gone.
Yeah, Grogu's presumably out of the show. Which, okay, yeah, I mean, okay, so here's the thing, like the DNA of the show now, like I don't want to say the DNA of the show. It's like the story of the show from episode 1, which was the Mando Baby Yoda show. Like that story is finished.
His whole
now.
goal was take the child to his own kind. Yeah,
get him to the Jedi.
He completed his mission.
Yeah, and that has been fulfilled. Now, this, for all intents and purposes, has been the Baby Yoda show up to this point because, we've talked about this before. Like, Baby Yoda's so cute, right? So, like, my thing is, like, okay, well, what is this show going to be now?
Well, it's still going to be its own thing, despite the after-credits scene that we got.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, well, let's just wrap up the Luke Skywalker moment stuff. Wow, it was amazing. Put the stuff about the CGI face stuff aside. Just like okay, they did what they could do. That aside,
it was still Luke freaking Skywalker.
Like I've seen. Yeah, it was still Luke Skywalker showed up. No one was expecting him to show up. It was like people who soured on Disney Star Wars after The Last Jedi. Like they were like this. They're all back in the fold now. Like I saw people on Facebook, my friends, who just flipped their shit, right? Seeing Luke like that's the Luke Skywalker they wanted, So it's and it's kind of like the Luke Skywalker that I think we've all wanted to see for a long time. So it I think that you can't, unless they somehow manage to get a Darth Vader cameo in this. Like I don't know, it's impossible to get a bigger Star Wars name onto that show after this.
So let's talk about the last scene in the episode before we wrap things up.
I remember okay, so you told me that there was a post-credit scene, right? And so I'm watching this thing, and they hard cut to iconic dual sunset, right? And they pan over, and it's Jabba's palace. I'm like, Jabba's palace? What the hell? Right? So they go in, and they have an obese Bib Fortuna sitting there in Jabba's party lounge, right?
He's super fat.
So I guess he's taking over Jabba's empire. Yeah, he's super fat. It's so funny. And I was just okay, so I'm glad we came back to this because I really wanted to know if that guy survived. Bib Fortuna. It's Twi'lek. But it's so great. He's so fat and he's got all these long fingernails. And so then Jabba's palace has really bad security. It's anybody can just walk in there. Don't even have to be a Jedi Master. So Chun-Li shows up and kills his bodyguard and sets the slave girl free. And then Boba Fett comes in. Bib Fortuna's like, Boba, I thought you were dead. And Boba Fett just blows him away right there on Jabba's throne. Well, glad we brought Bib Fortuna back. Just so Boba Fett, it made him really fat and really hilarious to look at. I want to know more about that, right?
And then Boba Fett pushes him out of the throne, and he sits down with Chun-Li at his side.
Yeah, it sits down on. Yeah, and she just.
And the screen goes black for a second.
There's the Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett. And you're like, what the hell is the Book of Boba Fett? right? And now I was confused. I thought that maybe that would be a movie. But as far as we know, the movies won't exist in 2021. So,
But yeah, it was a nice little pleasant surprise.
but Jon Favreau has clarified all this. Yeah, Jon Favreau has clarified all this. Says that it's going to be its own thing. It's not going to be season 3 of The Mandalorian.
And they're both
It's
going to be
its own
out
thing.
around the same time.
Yeah, that's weird. We're going to have like 2 Legacy of Boba Fett shows.
I don't know. I'm
Well, it's like
I'm on board.
Yeah, same. But let's talk briefly. I know we've been going for quite a while, but it's a podcast, and anybody who wanted to split had already split a long time ago when we told you to get the hell out at spoilers. But so Disney recently announced, like, what was it, like 8 or 9?
There was 10 new Star Wars stuff that they were working on. And Boba Fett makes 11.
Crazy. And like Ahsoka, like, okay, look, I can get behind the Ahsoka. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I think it's a mistake to do all these shows, and I'll tell you why. Because when The Force Awakens was, I think they're going down the same road they did with the movies. Okay, Force Awakens comes out, it's received, everyone loves it. It receives accolades. Star Wars is back. This is like so great, right? And then after that, they just announced, like, and you get a trilogy. They gave the guys from Game of Thrones their own trilogy. They gave Rian Johnson his own trilogy. They announced the 10, 11, and 12 trilogy, like standalone movies here and there, like trilogy Star Wars for everyone. And then the backlash from The Last Jedi happens. And then Solo bumps big time. And then Disney starts backpedaling. And Rise of Skywalker is a giant pile of crap. And it's like, okay, we're not going to be in the movies anymore. Right?
Yep.
Now, Mandalorian happens. Mandalorian, the Baby Yoda show, the Urkel Factor, is extremely well received. And now it's just be like, and now you get now be like, okay, well, they think they've cracked the code. Like, okay, Star Wars is great on TV. We have this new Disney Plus. 10 new series. Oh, I don't know about all this.
Yeah.
I could get behind the Ahsoka Tano show, but like I don't even know what the rest of them are.
Some of them were movies.
But
they're doing a Rogue Squadron movie. They officially re-announced Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie. They didn't give it a name or anything. They just said he's making one.
Okay, I can get behind that.
They're doing a prequel series to Rogue One with the one guy.
That is not that is something they should not be doing.
You know how it's going to end.
Who cares about Cassian Andor? That's like
they're
that's
doing
so
another
dumb.
animated
That's
show.
So
dumb. With some of the characters that were in Clone Wars.
Okay, animated shows are okay.
They were rejected clones or whatever, the Bad Batch. They're doing the Ahsoka Tano show. They're doing a show, I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically an anthology of Star Wars moments redone by Japanese animators. So basically, Star Wars.
Okay, I can get behind that, but
yeah, I think there was maybe two in there.
Oh, they're doing Obi-Wan too. The Obi-Wan thing that we've all been saying that we want. I can get behind that. Say that Hayden Christensen's going to be in that as Darth Vader, which is fine. You know, I'm sure his performance will be different now that we don't have to look at his face, or hear his voice.
He's just going to be in the suit, which is okay.
I'm down with that. Put him in the suit. That's great. How could he mess that up? He can't. He can't mess that up with somebody else coming. Presumably going to be James Earl Jones. You would think.
Well, he already did the voice for Vader at the end of episode 3, so why not?
Yeah, so but they can just get some other voice artists. I mean, the Darth Vader voice, I don't think would be that hard to do for a skilled sound-alike talent, right?
They could get Chad Vader to do it.
Yeah, no,
I know you said skilled.
Okay.
You said skilled.
No. I said skilled, and somebody that I don't want to murder. I know he was in RiffTrax. It doesn't mean I like him. Those are like the worst RiffTrax that are out there. Yeah, I said it. The ones with Chad Vader are the worst RiffTrax. I don't talk about the RiffTrax I don't like. There are very few that I don't like. And there are only 2 that I don't like. And they both have Chad Vader in them. And he is the reason I do not like them. I want you to leave that in because I want the world to know.
And that's going to be the last thing I leave in because we really need to wrap this up.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. If you actually sat there and listened to us prattle on about Mandalorian, congratulations. More power to you. Thanks for the support. You can head on over to patreon.com/TrueBlueRiffCast and you can show us some support that way. Or you can just follow us on social media. You can follow me at PBandAwesome on Twitter. You can find me at pbandawesome.com. You can send me emails, jeremy@trueblueriffcast.com. And you can follow the podcast on Twitter at TBRiffcast.
And I'm Dave Chadwick, and I actually have a new blog that I'm going to start building up soon. It's called davechadwick.info. That's going to be my new home on the web. So check that out. I'm kind of moving away from the whole Sugar Ray Dodge thing. You know, I just turned 40. I'm kind of hitting a hard reset on my creativity. There's going to be a few reasons for that. I'll explain why, but on that website as soon as I just get it up and running. But it is up. You can check it out right now at davechadwick.info. And you can send me emails at dave@trueblueriffcast.com.
And we'll see you guys next time with our season finale, the best of 2020, right here on the True Blue Riffcast.
See ya. Rock till you die.
Rock till